All right, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Acacia Diedrich, and I am a program specialist with the Alzheimer's Association out of our Sioux City office. And here with me today is Becky Montgomery, a volunteer out of our Des Moines office. She's going to be presenting our program today, Effective Communication Strategies. So if you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the chat and we'll go through them at the end. Or you can hold on and just unmute yourself at the end. But however, sometimes a question comes into our mind and we don't want to forget it. So if you want to do that, just enter it into the chat. But I will go ahead and share my screen, and Becky, go ahead.
All right, well, welcome to the Effective Communication Strategies program sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association. I'm Becky Orr Montgomery. I am a community educator, a support group facilitator, and an advocate at the state level for the Alzheimer's Association. And my connection to the Alzheimer's Association is my mother, Rami Orr, had Alzheimer's for 15 years or so. My dad was Johnny Orr, and my sisters and I, we band together and we help them understand it and we work through it. So the following information you're going to receive is very beneficial in learning how to communicate with people with Alzheimer's. So today we will explore how communication takes place when someone has Alzheimer's disease. By the end of today's program, you will be able to explain the communication changes that take place throughout the course of the disease, decode the verbal and behavioral messages delivered by someone with dementia, and respond in ways that are helpful to the person, and identify strategies to help you connect and communicate at each stage of the disease. Communication is more than just talking and listening. It's also about sending and receiving messages through attitude, tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. Communication is a way to express who we are and how we relate to each other. As the brain changes with Alzheimer's disease progression, people lose the ability to speak and decode language in the usual ways. The better we understand these changes, the better we can connect with people with Alzheimer's throughout the course of the disease. As Alzheimer's disease and other dementias progress, people lose their ability to communicate their thoughts and feelings through words. They also lose the ability to understand the words that others speak to them. However, they do maintain a sense of self throughout the stages of the disease. This means that elements of those characteristics that make the person unique will remain a part of him or her throughout the disease. Connecting with the person's self is key to effective communication, staying connected and giving him or her a voice as the disease progresses. In the early stage of the disease, there may be just a few noticeable changes in the person's ability to communicate with words, or there may be no recognizable changes at all. Asking the person how he or she would like to be helped with words can be useful in this stage. Language abilities diminish as the disease progresses, and communication moves from easy conversation to relying on emotions and the 5 senses to connect. As care partners and caregivers, you are the ones who will adjust the ways you communicate and maintain connections with them throughout the disease. Remember that the essence of the person continues. Respect the person as the adult he or she is, and adjust your communication based on what is meaningful to the person today, no matter what the stage. So in early stage, you may or may not see these changes. For some people, there may be some shifts in their ease with words or conversations. Some of the most common changes you may notice in the early stages are listed on this slide and include difficulty finding the right words, taking longer to speak or respond, withdrawing from conversations, struggling with decision-making or problem-solving, reacting more emotionally than in the past, or avoiding discussion of the disease and its impact. Whether you notice changes in the way the person speaks or not, communication in the early stage is crucial. This is a period in which everyone involved is adjusting to the diagnosis and is having thoughts and feelings about the changes ahead of them. Remember that denial is a part of the disease for some, while others' emotions can feel overwhelming. Remember or come to terms with the diagnosis and the emotions you are all feeling by talking together and expressing your connection. This will help you both accept the diagnosis, move forward, and discover new ways to live positive, fulfilling lives together. Communicating throughout this process can also bring closeness that will help everyone adjust more easily as the disease progresses. In our first video, Martha Tierney, Associate Director of Volunteer Research Programs for the Alzheimer's Association National Office, tells us about how to be helpful in the early stage.
Communicating in the early stages of dementia with the person with the disease is important. At that time, you still have language as a tool, so you can learn things about what they might prefer as the disease progresses. For example, as the disease progresses, a person might have difficulty finding words. Caregivers often struggle to know what to do in that moment. Early on in the disease, you can ask. You can say, if you ever have trouble coming up with a word, would you rather that I jump in and give you the word, or do you want me to wait and allow you some time so you can find it on your own?
One of the best ways to be sure you are offering the help with communication that the person needs is to ask them directly. For example, if a person struggles to find the right word, ask whether it feels better when you supply the word or when you wait patiently. Keep your sentences direct and straightforward to help the person avoid feeling lost in a conversation. Short sentences can make your meaning clear. Avoid long explanations and take your cue from the person, taking care not to talk down to him or her. It may take the person longer to find words or put thoughts together and express them. Be sure to allow extra time for conversations so no one feels pressured or rushed. Keep in mind that conversational needs will change over time, and in the early stage, the person with dementia needs to have his or her voice heard. You can help facilitate this when you meet the person right where he or she is today, regardless of the stage of the disease. Be sure to include the person in any conversation, if he or she wishes, especially those that will have an effect on his or her future. Including the person can be empowering, engaging, and can allow his or her preferences to be respected. Other key points include, don't make assumptions about a person's ability to communicate because of an Alzheimer's diagnosis. The disease affects each person differently. Speak directly to the person if you want to know how he or she is doing. Explore which method of communication is most comfortable for the person. This could include letters, emails, phone calls, or in-person conversations. It's okay to laugh. Sometimes humor lightens the mood and makes communication easier. Be honest and frank about your feelings. Don't pull away. Your friendship and support are important to the person with dementia. The middle stage or moderate stage, many changes in the middle stage of Alzheimer's affect communication. If you noticed some of these changes in the early stage, they are likely to become more pronounced in the middle stage. Some of the changes you may notice are listed in this slide. Increased difficulty finding the right words, using familiar words repeatedly, inventing new words to describe familiar things, such as, calling a watch a hand clock, easily losing train of thought, speaking less often, and communicating through behavior rather than words more often. Some others include difficulty organizing words logically, reverting to speaking in a native language, using curse words, relying on gestures instead of speaking, difficulty following a conversation or a TV program, and difficulty decoding what others say. Changes in the brain make tracking and decoding words more difficult. For that reason, people begin to use behavior to communicate more often in the middle stage of the disease. Next, we'll discuss the adjustments you can make that help you continue to connect with the person with Alzheimer's. Please note that some physical conditions and medications can affect a person's ability to communicate. If changes occur suddenly and dramatically, consult a doctor. There may be a medical issue that needs to be addressed right away, such as a urinary tract infection or a side effect of a medication. In our next video, Beverly shares the advice she gives to caregivers as a support group facilitator.
I would advise couples, and I usually do advise the caregiver who comes to the group and is caring for a spouse, that you take your time. Always count to 3 before you respond, because it gives you time to think about your answer and what's going on. Generally, in a marital dispute, it's quick. It's back and forth. You're quick to give an answer. When they've been diagnosed, to sit back and say, okay, you're supposed to be the one that's reasonable here. Let's change how we do this, because there's only one thing you can control, and that's you. You cannot control them and their process.
When communicating with a person in the middle stages, approach the person gently. Identify yourself and approach the person from the front and at eye level. Call the person by name and say who you are in relation to the person. Hi, Dad, it's your daughter, Sue. This will help orient the person to get his or her attention. Sometimes using touch can show that you care, even when your words are just about a task or are not understood. A gentle touch can help get the person's attention. Don't criticize, correct, or impose your perspective. It will backfire most of the time. Pay attention to your facial expressions and tone of voice. Be calm and patient. The person can feel either your tension or your patient understanding. Finally, remember to take the time to communicate. Give yourself and the person you're talking with enough time to respond, interact, and connect. In the next video, Rebecca talks about adjusting her own thoughts and responses when her mother repeated herself.
She could sense my frustration, because occasionally I would lose my patience and I would bark at her. Why are you asking me that question again? I just answered that question 2 minutes ago. And then she would get frustrated because, she was very old school, and she's like, don't disrespect me. And I didn't ask you that question 2 minutes ago. It's a new question. So phase 2 of our relationship was like, okay, that's a new question. I'll answer it again.
On a personal note, from my experience with that, I trained my kids that if grandma repeats herself, she doesn't know she's doing it. It's not her fault. So my challenge to you is to give her a different answer every time she asks you the same question. And sometimes reach outside of the box so your answer gets her off that circle and she doesn't continue with that circle. When you join the person's reality, you take a little time to see the world as he or she may be seeing it right at that moment. When seen from his or her perspective, the person's behavior can often become understandable to you. Due to the changes to the brain that accompany the disease, the person will probably not be able to see your perspective. So you will be the one who will need to use respect and empathy to see the world through his or her eyes. Joining that person's reality is key in helping the person have his or her say, and it provides soothing and reassurance. To do this, you can take the steps listed on this slide. Listen to figure out what the person wants or needs. This means paying attention to both the words and the behavior of the person. Keep in mind that the person may be saying something about his or her feelings or needs, but may be feeling something else on a deeper level that also needs attention from you. For example, the words, "I can still drive just fine," may also contain the feeling, "I don't want to give up my independence, so don't take that away from me." The words, "Stop taking over my life, I hate it," may actually reflect the meaning, "I hate this disease and don't understand why I can't do what I always could." Let the person know you understand what he or she may be feeling and why, whether they are expressed through words, behavior, or both. Answer any question or address any issue he or she may bring up. Be brief and to the point. Then, most importantly, respond to the emotions behind the behavior or the concern. For example, if the person is communicating with words, you might say, "You seem sad. Do you feel sad? And then wait for a response. If the person says yes, you may want to guess the cause, as in, do you miss the way things used to be? If the person says yes to this as well, you could add, I do too. If the person is communicating with behavior, see if you can identify and speak about the emotion behind the behavior. If the person is rummaging through possessions, it may be a way of communicating boredom or needing something. Hitting during bathing can be a way to say the person feels too hot, too cold, or uncomfortable with being naked or feeling out of control. Finally, only after you've responded to the emotions, reassure and redirect the person by encouraging him or her to do something that may shift the person's thinking and behavior. So to continue the example, you could say, I'm glad to be here with you today. Let's go for a walk outside. In this way, you are gradually moving the person from feeling sad to doing something active that can lift his or her spirits. The next message says to keep it slow and basic. Take your time and be patient when you communicate. The more you slow down, the less resistance you will encounter because the person won't feel rushed and unable to keep pace. Rushing leaves the person feeling frustrated, inadequate, upset with him or herself, and then resistant. By taking your time, you will avoid frustration for everyone. Use short sentences, basic words, and speak clearly. Be specific. It sometimes helps to offer the choice you think best at the end of the sentence. For example, rather than asking, what would you like for breakfast? You could say, it's breakfast time. Would you like eggs or oatmeal? Give multiple cues. It's helpful to give the person many different cues as you communicate. This reinforces your words and clarifies your message. Provide visual cues and gestures, avoiding sudden movement. Use gentle gestures and pointing, but avoid making sudden gestures that may startle the person. Write things down for the person. Reminder notes, calendars, labels, and lists can remind the person of where things belong, what is to be done, or who is in the person's life. Labeled photos can help the person keep track of names and relationships in the middle stage. Offer answers to your questions. It is much easier for someone in the middle stage to choose what to eat for lunch. For example, if the question is not open-ended, what would you like for lunch, Bill, is a question that may leave the person overwhelmed and stuck for an answer. This often leads to confusion or, easiest of all, refusal. But it's much easier for the person to answer the question phrased this way. Bill, I'm making sandwiches for lunch. Would you like ham or turkey? The person can choose one or the other and will often choose the last option mentioned. If he seems stuck, you can suggest an answer such as, how about ham? Repeat information or questions. Although you may have many reminders in place, plan on needing to repeat information you provide or questions you ask. The person may not be able to decode your message completely the first time, and repetition can help. Turn negatives into positives. For example, if you need to get the person into the shower and they always resist the task, rather than saying, it's time for your shower, triggering resistance, you can say, let's go get you cleaned up for the day so you'll be ready for Cindy's visit this afternoon. Avoid quizzing the person. Quizzing the person, asking him or her to try harder to remember, or saying that he or she knows the answer and asking the person to think again is unfair and does not work. Trying harder just leads to frustration. It is much more respectful and helpful to give the person the information he or she needs for a task or situation, along with reminders as needed. Respond emphatically and reassure. Let the person know that you are there and listening, and that you hear his or her concerns. The facts are far less important than the person's feelings and his or her view of reality. These feelings and perspectives are very real to the person, even though they may not match your reality. Responding to those feelings first can help avoid resistance. Provide reassurance that you are together and safe, that you are there to help. Let the person know that you hear and understand the thoughts and feelings he or she is experiencing. As long as there is not a safety issue, agree and go with the flow, finding common ground wherever possible. Make any adjustments to the situation that are necessary, and then redirect the person to another activity if needed. Late stage or severe. In the late stage, the person may use only a few words, but he or she still needs to connect and communicate. Since the person has lost many functions by the late stage, you may feel a strong urge to do something. Usually, your presence and connection with the person are much more important than doing something specific for the person. Remember that the person is an adult with a sense of self that continues throughout the stages. Excuse me. You can connect with those aspects of the self by remembering the person's history and respecting his or her preferences. The goal is to help the person feel content and happy whenever possible. Keep talking using familiar words, names, phrases, poems, passages, or songs. Whether you get a direct response from the person or not, the sound of your voice helps maintain the connection between you. Excuse me. Using the 5 senses is a great way to connect with the person with dementia in the late stage. This may be done through touch, sight, sound, smell, and taste. In this video, Sandra talks about connecting with her mother in the late stage of the disease.
I know that my mom feels aggravated. I know that she feels alone. I know that she feels confused. And I know on any given day, I don't know if I've made it better for her. I try. In these later stages, I've come to recognize that being really aware of the 5 senses is really important. Touch seems to give her a great deal of comfort. I know when I come over, I'm going to brush her hair all the time. My husband noted to me recently, he said, you should see the look on your mom's face when you're brushing her hair. She's just happy. She's just happy. She doesn't say a lot. And I do it for a long period of time. I comb it, I braid it, I do funny things with it, but it just allows me to just be with her in a way that makes her feel comfortable.
Here are some ideas for connecting through touch. Feel different fabrics. Identify shapes by touch. Lotion hand massages. Identifying everyday items in a bag by touch. Visiting with animals. Molding non-toxic clay or dough. Hold the person's hand or stroke his or her arm back. Here are some ways to connect through the use of sight. Laminate brightly colored pictures to look at together. Watch videos of animals, nature, or travel. Look at photo albums together. View photos of famous paintings, favorite settings, or prominent people from their past. Watch birds or look at aquariums. Paint with watercolors. Go outdoors or sit by an open window together to experience the environment together using many of the senses at once. Feeling the sunshine, seeing people and pets walk by, hearing nature sounds, feeling the breeze or smelling a coming rain shower. Using sounds and music are some of the most powerful ways to connect in the late stage. Listen to familiar music, including favorite musical styles that may stir happy memories, such as jazz, big band dance music, hymns, classical pieces, etc. Listen to recordings of the sound of nature, farms, cities, animals, or babies. Identify musical instruments by sound. Listen to songs or speech in the person's native language. Read books, poetry, scripture, or newspaper articles to the person. Let the person hear the gentle tone of your voice. The sense of smell is one of our most basic senses. Although this sense may diminish with age and disease progression, consider using some of the ideas on this slide to connect with the person. Make small plastic bags containing items for the person to smell under supervision, such as herbs or spices, cotton balls dipped in essential oils, grass clippings, or fragrant flowers, teas or coffee beans. Use fragrant lotions for hand massages. You may also want to have a variety of small fragrant candles that are strongly scented when unlit to smell together. Remember to use scents that the person will find familiar and pleasant. Keep in mind any allergies that the person may have and avoid any scents that might aggravate them. Well into the late stage, people with dementia enjoy tasting favorite foods and flavors. Here are some ways you might provide some strong flavor sensations for the person. However, as the ability to swallow diminishes, choking becomes a hazard. Be sure to provide only what the person can swallow safely. Favorite foods, homemade goodies, popsicles, flavored drinks, ice creams, and puddings. I think everyone loves ice cream. So to summarize, maximizing our communication or connectedness with a person with dementia involves adhering to a few principles. Understand what is and isn't possible to change by understanding all you can about the disease. Stay up to date with the latest information and scientific breakthroughs on Alzheimer's disease by attending workshops and conferences. Know and accept the cognitive and functional limitations of the person to help you set realistic expectations of the person. Remember that the person is an adult with a sense of self that should always be respected. You convey your mood through your actions and your tone of voice. The person will pick up on and reflect those feelings. Stay focused on your positive feelings for the person to increase your understanding of his or her reality. Demonstrate your caring to the person to help you connect. Listen, observe, and try to decode what the person is communicating about his or her needs and wants. By joining the person's reality, you can better understand what is needed and how to intervene. Communication evolves throughout the stages of Alzheimer's, and adapting to those changes requires commitment. By adjusting your communication as the disease progresses, you can learn to connect deeply and meaningfully, enhancing your relationship with each other. In the next video, Dr. Sam Fazio, Director of Special Projects for the Alzheimer's Association's National Office, describes the multiple effects of not caring for yourself as a caregiver.
Taking care of yourself while you care for somebody with the disease not only impacts your own health, but it really can impact the person with the disease. So for example, if you're not getting enough sleep, you might be easily irritated, which will then sort of spill over to your interactions with the person with the disease and maybe being short with them, which then might cause them to get frustrated. So it's not only important to take care of yourself for your own health, but really for you to really be a good caregiver.
I will add a personal note in the late stages. When visiting my mother, I would walk in with a big smile and say, "Hi, Mom," because she was more of a parrot at that point, and she would immediately do what I did. So she'd smile back and say hi. She was also very creative. When someone would ask her, "Rami, who's this?" she'd just smile and say, "I'll never tell," because she had no idea what my name was. So I would also encourage caregivers and loved ones to get over themselves and don't worry that she doesn't remember you or he doesn't remember you. They still love you and they love seeing you. They just can't identify who you are. So no matter whether you want information or support, whether you have questions about memory loss or dementia of any kind, or whether you are a professional, a researcher, a caregiver, or a person diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia, the Alzheimer's Association has resources for you and is available for help. In addition to our live programs, we have a rich website at alz.org. Visit our website to get tips about finding and providing care. Read about the latest research and find the tools for your well-being. Spend some time exploring all we have to offer you at alz.org. One of the online tools that you'll find on our website is the Alzheimer's Navigator. We can help you map out a plan to approach Alzheimer's by visiting the webpage at alzheimersnavigator.org. Alzheimer's Navigator helps guide you to answers by creating a personalized action plan containing information, support, and local resources. You can then share your plan with your friends and family, linking them to the materials customized for your situation. By visiting our Community Resource Finder online tool at communityresourcefinder.org, you can can search for local community living services, day programs, medical resources, and more. Whether you are in the area or across the country, you can find services to help someone living with dementia and make the contacts you all need to ensure safety and comfort. A rich supplement to our local supportive programs is ALZ Connected, our online message boards with over 50,000 members who share their thoughts, questions, and ideas with each other 24 hours a day. Whether you are living with dementia or are close to someone who is, you can come on to read or post about your concerns. Let ALZ Connected help you develop plans, find support, and discover new coping mechanisms by connecting with others who are living with dementia or are partners in caring. Our 24/7 helpline offers dementia-trained professionals to talk with anytime, day or night, every day of the year. Call us at 800-272-3900 when you need information about the disease and meeting its challenge, links to the resources, or a supportive ear during difficult times. We are here to help. The Alzheimer's Association has chapters throughout the country where we offer education programs, support groups, and much more. To find a chapter anywhere in the US, go to alz.org/find us, where you can search by state or zip code. Once the chapter's webpage, you can see what is being offered in that area. Finally, the Training and Education Center of alz.org, where you can access programs like this one from the convenience of home. Just go to alz.org/training. And you can find programs and materials that offer the most current information about dementia, treatments, and care. Please contact us and let the Alzheimer's Association partner with you to help ensure your well-being. My favorite is the 800 number. They speak multiple languages. They are master's level clinicians able to diffuse any situation. You can use your voice, your motivation, your interest, and your skills to help find new treatments and to enhance services for all people affected by dementia. Clinical trials, research studies are being conducted all over the world to find treatments that are safe and effective. Clinical trials are the best way for researchers to find new ways to detect, slow, treat, and hopefully someday prevent Alzheimer's disease. The Alzheimer's Association Trial Match is a free clinical studies matching service that connects individuals with Alzheimer's, caregivers, and healthy volunteers to local clinical trials seeking participants. When you can join a clinical trial, you have an opportunity to participate in vital research that could change the course of Alzheimer's disease and improve the lives of all those it affects. Visit Trial Match online at trialmatch.alz.org or call our helpline at 800-272-3900 to get started making a difference. The Walk to End Alzheimer's and the Longest Day are opportunities for the local community to join together in the spirit of grassroots advocacy that is central to the mission of the Alzheimer's Association. Forming a team to support a friend or family member is a direct way to show your concern for the person as well as for the cause. And those who live with the impact of these diseases in their lives are tremendously grateful. We also encourage you to join us in providing education and support programs to families in your area who are living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Whether you are a person with the disease, a care partner or a caregiver, or a professional in the field, you can volunteer to use your knowledge and compassion to have a profound impact on those whose lives are affected by this disease. You can also join us to speak up for the needs and rights of people with Alzheimer's and their families, and to help persuade state and federal Congress to increase funding for research and programs. Many caregivers and people with the disease find the experience of advocating to be therapeutic, and it puts a human face on complex policy issues for our legislators. We need you to help us change the course of the Alzheimer's disease for everyone affected, and we welcome you to join us in making a difference. Again, the helpline phone number and our website address. Please contact us anytime. We are here to help.
All right. Thank you very much for that awesome presentation. There was a lot of information. I'm very glad that we recorded it because I think it's going to be really beneficial for a lot of our potential tenants and a lot of people, you know, that are kind of going through this with their family members and things like that. I know that I personally, my mother-in-law is going through that with her father-in-law. So it's really nice to kind of have something physical that we can kind of go through together and rewatch. So I really, you know, thank you guys both for being here and for presenting. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
We thank you. Yep, I was going to say the same thing, Acacia. We thank you for having us.
Well, I will definitely be in touch for some more of these informational presentations. And again, thank you very much. And that's all we got, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought it was pretty funny. My dog barked right when you were talking about animal sounds.
Oh.
I didn't even hear that.
I closed the windows and